Okay, hopefully we're going to end our lesson about statistics for tonight. We are going to discuss two important topics which are included in your syllabus: the measures of central tendency as well as of the measurement of variability. So those things will be discussed tonight. So to start our discussion, can anyone tell me what central tendency means? What do you mean by central tendency? If you are measuring or if you are getting a central tendency from a particular set of data, what are you trying to calculate? Miss Namok, you are
Yes, sir. Good
acknowledged.
evening.
Good evening.
Okay, sir. Try lang, sir. Ano, sir, ang
Go ahead.
central tendency, mo na siya nag-measure sa, ay, central tendency measure is defined as the number used to represent the center or middle of a set of data values. So, there are three commonly used measures of central tendency, katong mean, median, and mode, sir.
Very good. Very well said, Miss Namok. Thank you so much. So as you can see in our slide right now, we have the mean, median, and the mode, the three M's. These are considered as the measure of central tendency. And as mentioned by Miss Namok a while ago, this represents the center or the middle value of a given distribution. So when you are getting the measure of central tendency, you are actually getting a typical value in a given distribution. So unsa nga value ang mag-represent sa kadaghan sa ako ang data nga na-gather. As you can remember in your research study before in your senior high school, or if you conducted your own survey siguro outside the school, when you are collecting data, di ba, you are gathering a lot of data, but you are going to report only one value that will represent those data set. So example, katong gihata gahapon, di ba nga, research about employee engagement. So daghan kaayog na collect ng mga data from different employees, and then sa reporting sa inyuhang results sa inyuhang data gathering, isa lang ka number ang inyuhang kuhaan og value, and that will represent all of these numbers nga imong na-collect. So usually ang tawag sa iyaha center of the distribution. That is why it is known as the central tendency. So naabay nag-raise og hand, wala na ako nakita. Murag na ato yung nag-raise og hand. Kinsa pa ang gusto mag-speak about central tendency? We can actually read some answers here sa ato ang chat box from Miss Delalamon and Miss Batino. Typical value, yes. Distribution center, it's also known as the average. That's correct. So in our second slide, we have here the word average nga gi-mention. That is the layman's term when you are computing for the central tendency. So average is very common, and this is actually related to the first measurement of central tendency, which is the mean. So before we proceed with the mean, we will read the definition of measures of central tendency. Measures, so daghan sila, we have mean, median, and mode. These are numerical descriptive measures which indicate or locate the center of a distribution or data set as mentioned a while ago. So for example, in a class of 40 students, so you can get 40 different answers. If for example, you're getting the height, that's the variable na gusto nimo kuhaon. And then you're going to report one particular height that will represent the 40 students. So you are getting the typical height. That is now the time that you're going to compute for the central tendency. And the three measures of central tendency, the mean, median, and mode, have their respective characteristics. So to discuss the three measurements, we will start with the first set, the ungrouped data. When we talk about ungrouped data, these are the data values that are given one by one. Kanang makita ganin nimo ang values gihatag jud siya. So in a problem, you can easily identify if that is for the ungrouped data kay gihatag man siya tagsa-tagsa, makita nimo ang individual values. So the mean is the first measurement of central tendency. This is actually known as the average. Muna ni siya ang layman's term nga average na ato ang gamit usually when we are getting the mean of, for example, our grades, the height of your classmates, and this is the very commonly used measures of central tendency sa research. Mo ni siya ang ginagamit. Later, we will find out unsa ang mga properties or characteristics sa mean nganong siya ang permanente or kadalasan nga ginagamit when we are talking about statistical research. So some information available in this particular slide is we have mu. This is another letter, Greek letter mu, na ginagamit po siya to represent the population mean. Pero kung daghan kay ang population, usually when we are conducting research, we are doing sampling. So kung sample lang siya, you're going to get the sample average or mean. So the symbol for that is X bar. So this is just simple reminder, especially when you are reading mga textbooks in statistics para di mo malibog. So what are the properties of mean? So number one, it can be calculated for any set of numerical data. So basta na yung mga numbers ka available, pwede i-compute ang mean. It always exists. Again, as long as your data set is quantitative or numerical. Number two, a set of numerical data has one and only one mean. So isa ra jud kabuk ang mo results sa mean, whatever the cases may be. So daghan man siya, gamay lang siya, the number of observations may be odd or even, isa lang jud ang mugawas nga value sa mean. Dili pwede nga madaghan siya. So usually atong gina-report is mean is because of this property, kaya ang mugawas all the time sa mean is isa lang man siya ka value that will represent the data set or the data that you have collected. The third one is it is the most reliable measurement of central tendency. Take note of the word, the most reliable. That is why this is the most used proper measurement because of this property number three. It's the most reliable measure of central tendency since it takes into account every item of the data set. If you can still remember when you got your average, for example, mo na siya ang pinaka close nga example that we can actually relate to when you are computing the average of your grade. Di ba, i-consider jud nimo enter if you are using calculator. By the way, kailangan na itong calculator karon no kay para mag-solve ta. Actually, this is just a review. So, dali ra ni siya mag-solve. You can use any calculators that you have, ordinary, in the cell phone, or scientific calculator. So, as I am trying to explain here sa number 3, it takes into account every item in the data set. Kay katong mga number nga na-involved, imuha man siyang isa-isahon og enter, di ba, sa calculator. Tapos, i-divide, after getting the sum, i-divide nimo siya, di ba, kung pila sila kabuok tanan. So, it means nga bawat measurement naa siya kinalaman sa iyahang overall value. That is wonderful nga. Nakita nila nga nindot ni siya. Kay makita na to later kung nagamit ba po di siya sa other measures of central tendency. Kay isa ni siya ka-characteristic nga present lang sa mean. Bawat value naa siya'y kinalaman sa overall outcome sa mean. That is why it is the most reliable measurement of central tendency. The fourth one, who would like to explain this one? It is greatly affected by extreme or deviant values or outliers. Can anyone tell me what does this fourth property mean? I would like to check my microphone. Madunggan ba ko ninyo? Kaya na diri mga nag-mention nga di
Yes po, sir.
madungog. Thank you so much for the response. Miss Namok, you are raising your hand and you are acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Ano, sir? Ang katong mga outliers, sir, so it
Mm-mm.
decreases the mean. So that the mean is a bit too low to be a representative measure of this. For example, sir, students,
Mm-mm.
typical performance. So this makes sense because when we calculate the mean, we first add the scores together, then divide by the number of scores. So every score
Mm.
therefore affects the mean, sir.
Very good. So thank you so much for elaborating that one, Miss Namok. So the participation of Miss Namok is always recorded. So atong uban, you may also say something based on your research. I think you are doing your own research also right now while we are discussing this kind of topic. So to elaborate again, katong gi-mention ni Miss Namo, when we talk about extreme or mga deviant values, also known as outliers, this is another language, vocabulary part, gihapon ni siya sa statistics that we need to understand. Mo ni siya ang mga values na kanaganing usay kay dako kayo siya pud ang pinakagamay nga pwede siya makaguba sa overall outcome sa imuhang data. Say for example, para mas maklaro ni siya, naa kay quiz for example sa isa ka subject. So sa isa ka term, kalima lang mo nag-quiz. So sa first 4 quizzes, perfect ka. Lami kay mong paminaw, di ba? Sa last quiz nimo kay na zero ka. So katong zero, mo to siya ang murag makadamay, di ba? That is an example of an outlier. Extreme siya, pwede siya gamay kaayo, pwede po siya dako kaayo, nga pwede siya makasagabal sa overall mean. So if you are going to calculate kadtong imuhang score, sa upat ka quiz ha, what perfect ka, pero sa last kay butangan na to equivalent siguro sa 0.60. So pila na imuhang average karon? Naapektuhan ba imong average because of your score sa last quiz nimo? So di ba nagbaba siya, di na siya 100. So that is the meaning of item number 4 for the properties of the mean. It is greatly affected by extreme or deviant values or outliers. So katong mga gagmay kaayo nga mga values or even ang mga dagko kayo nga values, naa sila'y kalabutan. So maapektuhan jud ang imuhang overall mean. Later, naatay comparison himuon sa other measurement of central tendency kung kani ba siya nga property nag-exist. I hope klaro na siya. The last property of the mean for number 5, it is used only if the data are quantitative. So we have to recognize the fact na kung mag-calculate ta og mga numbers, makuha nato ang mean. That is very obvious. Pero naay mga research nga ginahimo nga dili man siya quanti, di ba? Quali. So lisod magkuha og mean kung dili jud na number ang imuhang data. So kailangan pa siya transform. Mo nang naatay mga gina-transmute nila, di ba? Ang mga, for example, ang ilang nakuha ng mga data kay very good, good, not so good, mga ano man na siya, mga descriptions. So kung makuha na to ang mean ana, kailangan pa nato siya transmute into numbers. So for example, very good will be number 5, good will be number 4, and so on and so forth before we can get the mean. Okay, number 5 tells us na magamit lang siya if the data are quantitative. The subtan ba nato ang first part, the mean, the properties of mean? I believe nga nasabtan ninyo siya kay kamo mismo, you are particularly using this kind of measurement, especially katong nag-conduct mo og inyuhang research. So after the mean, we will have an example of how to get the mean for the ungrouped data ha. This is an example, kaning example number 1, muna siya ang example sa ungrouped data. Wala kay siya gigrupo, gipakita jud siya isa-isa. So in the individual values are given one by one. So before going to the example, we will have the formula. Mathematically, mao na siya ang ginahatag ng formula. You can see another Greek letter dire sa formula for the ungrouped or raw data. This is X bar. Again, we are getting the sample mean. Kay usually sample ato ang ginakuha. Dili jud tanan. Even mga examples nato dire, puros ni siya sample. Nga tag 5 lang, tag 1 lang, pila lang kabuok ang gikuha out of the population. So we are using X bar. That is equal to sigma. This means summation. Summation of X. Katong X mo to imuhang mga observation or values. Summation of all your X. Kaning, for example, kanisa example number 1, we have X sub 1 is 38, X sub 2 is 35. So kanisang mga data values, one by one nga gipakita, mo ni siya ang mga X. So summation of X all over N. N is the number of measurements. So mathematically, gi-represent niya as sigma or summation of X all over N as the formula to get the mean for the ungrouped data. So applying the formula, we have here an example. Miss Sulit collects the data on the ages of mathematics teachers in Santa Rosa School. And her study yields the following. So sa kadaghan sa mga teachers, mao lang niya nakuha. So sample lang atong kwaon. 38, 35, 28, 36, 35, 33, and 40. So to apply the formula summation of x, so summation of 38, 35, 28, 36, 35, 33, and 40. Then, over, so katutanan summation i-add nimo divided by the number of observation or measurements 1, 2, 3, 4,
Or
5,
five.
6, 7. So, 7 kabuok ang imuhang number. So, mo po ito imuhang i-divide. The result, if you are going to verify, you can use your calculator right now and try to see kung 35 ba yun ang mugawas. That is now the mean. And how do you interpret that? Kaya dapat after the computation, interpretation will follow. So based on the computed mean, generally or typically, 35 years old daw ang mga mathematics teachers na nagtudlo sa Santa Rosa School. So there are a lot of teachers there. Pero unsa ang age nga mag-define sa ilaha? It's 35 using the mean. Do we have questions? Okay, so none. Let's proceed to another example, but this time I will wait for your answer because this is made for you. So it's your turn. Mang John is a meat vendor. The following are his sales for the past 6 days. So nanirado siguro siya Monday, wala siya entry for that. Nagsugod siya as Tuesday. The question is, what is the mean or compute his daily mean sales? So kung naay mag-survey sa iyaha, Mang John, pila usually imuhang ginakita? So typically pila in a week, pila imuhang kita imong sales. So dili naka out of these values, magpili kag isa ka buok that will represent all of these values. I think ready na si Miss Tesoro. You raised your hand, Miss Tesoro. What is your answer? What is the mean? The
Me,
mean average or the average
answer.
sales niya.
8,517 po, sir.
Again, that's 8,517
517 po.
pesos. Exactly.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Soro. We're going to reveal the answer later, but Mr. Soro gave us one answer. That's 8,517. Pero in our, na ay nag-answer og Wednesday. We have to be clear about this one ha. Kaya na naman tayo springboard ani, di ba? This is part of problem solving. We have to know, unsa man yung pangita diri, adlaw ba or kwarta? So since we are tasked to compute the daily mean sales, so isa ka adlaw daw, typically pila ang sales ni Mang John. So dili jud siya adlaw ang answer ani, di ba? Kung dili pila ang sales niya, pila ayahang halin typically kay basi siguro naay nang mangutang siguro siya tapos si tawag ani investigate ang katong magpautang sa iyaha pila man jud halin niya na ba siya capacity to pay, so lailahi man ni nga value unsa nga value ang magrepresent ani. Another answer in your chat box is 8,516.67. We also have 0.66. Accuracy is one of the things that we have to learn when we are dealing with numbers, especially sa math. So karon ipakita nato kung kinsa ang nakakuha tamang answer. So here is the solution. We have summation of all your values. Since ungroup man siya, so tagsa-tagsa 5, 8, 8, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 12, 5, 3, 13, 400. I-add na na, divided by, we have 6 values. That is actually 8,516 point. Di ba sa calculator is taas kayo siya? Puro siya mga 6. Pero since this is money, so pwede na to siya i-round off. Mag-apply na taog rounding off to the nearest centavo. So 2 decimal places. So since ang nagtapad sa 6 kay 6, so i-round off na siya into 7. So the exact answer, accuracy ang atong ginatanaw diri, is 8,516.67 to be exact. Pero if there will be an instruction na you need to convert to round off your answer to the nearest peso, then the answer 8,517 given by Mr. Soro will be accepted. But for now, the correct answer is 8,516.67. So thank you so much to those who gave their answers. So that is all about the mean. Very easy lang siya and very familiar to all of us. So I think wala questions about ani, no? Okay, next. Aside from the mean, we also have another kind of mean nga gibutangan siya og modifier, weighted mean ang tawag. So what is weighted mean? As defined in this particular slide, it is the mean of a set of values wherein each value or measurement has a different weight or degree of importance. And it has another formula. If we are going to consider our example, katong previous na nga example, kani siya, as well as katong ganina, kaning mga age, di ba pareha raman siya og degree of importance? Ang 38, 35, 28, and so on, pareha ra siya importance. Just like kaning 5,800, 8,600, 6,500, parehas na siya og importansya. That is why wala tay gi-multiply sa iyaha. Gidiretso na to siya add and gi-divide kung pila sila kabuok. Pero when it comes to weighted mean, there is a particular weight given to that particular value. So ang bawat x nimo karon katong data set nimo one by one, naa siya corresponding weight. So we will let W to be the weight or the number of measurement. Mao ni siya ang magsulti kung unsa ka importante ang isa ka value. So the formula will be the same x bar, that sample mean, is equal to the summation tapos imuha nang i-multiply mo nang gitapad ang x and W ang kadto imuhang measurement tapos pila iyang weight. I-add nimo kung pila na isa ka buo kay every value will have its corresponding weight. So i-add nimo to tanan, i-multiply nimo and then i-add divided by the summation of all the weights. So the total weight kung pila tanan. So again, ang imuhang denominator is not n anymore. Katong previous nga to nga formula is divided by kung pila sila kabuok. Pero this time for the weighted mean, the total number of weights will be your denominator. So for this to be understood, we will have an example. Example, below are Amaya subjects and the corresponding number of units. So familiar ba sa inyo ha kay your subjects, di ba? Kay naman siya corresponding units, especially karon nga college ta. Naamoy mga units na isa ka subject mo ni ang number of units. The number of units will tell you the weight or the degree of importance of that particular subject. So kato mga subject nga dagko og units, usually mga major subject to siya, importante to siya. Kato mga subjects na gamay og unit, even though importante pud siya, pero in terms of iyang bearing sa imong average, dili kay siya inana kadako. Na-gets ninyo? Mo ni siyang example sa weighted mean. I hope you can still follow. The grades are 86, 85, 88, 87, 86, 83, and 87. These are the values, X values. Ang atuang task is to compute the grade point average of Amaya, knowing that naa siya Filipino, English, Math, Science, Social Studies, TLE, and MAPE subjects, and each subject has its own unit. Filipino, for example, is credited for 0.9 unit. English is 1.5 units. Math is still 1.5 units. Science, on the other hand, is 1.8. Social Studies, 0.9. While TLE and MAPE have 1.2 each. So lahi-lahi sila weight. So tanaw nimo ang 1.8 ang pinakataas. So sa tanan niyang subject, mas bugat ang science, meaning das dako siya og bearing pag mag-compute na siya sa iyahang final grade point average. While ang Filipino and Social Studies ang pinakagamay og influence sa iyahang outcome. Mo na siya ang iyahang meaning when we get the weights. So ang pasabot ato sa formula ganina, every value, every x will be multiplied to its corresponding weight. So ang 86 sa Filipino will be multiplied by 0.9. That's why 86 times 0.9 plus, mura na siya minus diri pero plus na siya. 85 times 1.5, that's for English. For math, 88 times 1.5 and so on. So i-multiply to nimo and then i-add nimo tanan ang values nga nakuha nimo after multiplying every grade by its corresponding unit, then divided by, going back to our formula, the denominator is the summation or sigma of W. So i-add nimo tanan pila ning weights. So you have to add 0.9 plus 1.5 plus 1.5 and so on and so forth. So pila tanan ang weights. I hope everyone will have the opportunity nga mag-calculate kay you can actually learn while you are operating. Kay kani diri nga part calculation, I don't know ha kung makasabot ba ka kung magtan-aw lang ka. Pero based on practice, mas makasabot ka kung imuha yung i-calculate. We need to be kinesthetic learners when we talk about computations. So pila man ang total karon sa weights? The total weights is, I hope you get it, 9.9 plus 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.8 plus 0.9 plus 1.2 plus 1.2 is equal to 9. So that will be your divisor. I-multiply o i-add mo tanan ang numerator, then divided by pila ang sum atong units, mo to siya ang weights, then that's 86.1. Therefore, Amaya's average grade is 86.1 considering the number of units. Sabtan ba?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Miss Namok, for the response. Now, let's proceed. This is now your turn. Okay, kaya naman yung mga your turn. So, para mahibalaan to check, also to monitor kung nakasabot ba ta. So, this time, we have another set of subjects with different units and grades also. So, kanisha is from James. He obtained those grades in his 5 subjects for the second grading period. And your task is to compute his grade point average. Okay. If you have the answer, then you can raise your hand. It's either kung naka-microphone, raise your hand. Parehas ganina. So, Miss Namok ang pinakadaghan og answer so far. Or kung wala kay microphone, imuha na lang siyang i-type diri sa chat box nato. Miss Caballero also got the correct answer sa to ang first example. So I'm waiting for your answer. Jovelita has 87.67. The first answer ni Miss Ramos. If you will get the correct answer, then the point will be awarded to you since you are the first one nga nakahatag sa answer. And this is also supported by Miss Namok. They have the same answer. So now let's reveal the correct answer. Very good. It's 87.67. For the solution, as you can see, the same gihapon siya. We will go back to the formula again. For the weighted mean, it's the summation of x times w divided by the summation of w. So our summation of x times w, for math, we have 90 times 1.5. For science, for English first, we have 86 times 1.5. For science, we have 88 times 1.8. For Filipino, we have 87 times 0.9. And for Makabayan, we have 87 times 1.5. After multiplying all those numbers, you add the results, then divided by the number of units. So i-add mo 1.5, 1.5, 1.8, 0.9, and 1.5. After dividing that, you have to get this correct answer, 87.67. Ramos got the correct answer. So I think that's all about the mean. So we have mean and weighted mean lang siya. That's the first measure of central tendency. The second measure of central tendency is the median. And as you can recall, di ba? Gipakita po diri sa ato ang definition. When we talk about median, naa siya'y ginapasabot nga tagaan kag clue gani para di ka kalimot. Median, it means middle value. So murag naa siya'y clue nga gihatag para di ka makalimot. When you talk about median, you are getting the middle. So murag naay clue gihatag. But before you can get the middlemost value, you have to rank or arrange the data. It can be from the smallest to the highest or pwede po the highest to the lowest. Depende na siya kung unsa imuhang convention o imuhang naandan nga arrangement. So it can be ascending or descending order Ang importante is na rank siya. Anyway, kung baliktaron nimo ang rank, mao man gihapon to ang pinakatunga. Just like in this example, we have the number 16 na arrange naman daan ni siya 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. So if you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The number of observation is 7. 7 is an odd number, di ba? So take note, kung odd number ang imuhang number of observation, then naadyo kay singular or unique value nga naa sa middle. So you only have one value. So in this case, 19 ang pinakatunga, kay 7 man siya, so naay 3 diri sa iyahang upper or sa iyahang left side, napod tayo tulo ka buok value sa iyahang right side or sa lower part niya. So siya ang pinakatunga. Kung dungagan na itong isa, for example, we have 23. So the number of observation is now 8. And 8 is an even number. So as you can see, kung even number siya, duha ang tunga, di ba? So it becomes 19.5 because you have to get the average of the two middlemost values. So that is the median. What are the properties of median? As we discussed a while ago, the properties of the mean, we can now have the point of comparison sa median. So ang sa median, ang naa sa iyaha, number 1, the score or class in the distribution wherein 50% of the score fall below it and 50% lie in it. So this is a unique property na dili nato makitaan sa mean. Kay sa mean, kaya wala man ta nag-arrange, di ba? Ato ang gi-enter tanan ang mga values na compute nato siya. Sa median is wala, di ba? Arrangement ang iyahang first step. So naa siya 50% nag-fall below sa iyahan, na 50% naa sa iyahang baba. Or naa sa iyang ibabaw, na po sa iyahang baba. So naa siya sa pinakatunga. So that is one of the characteristics of the median, which is not present sa mean. Kaya wala man ka nag-arrange sa mean. Number 2 is it is not affected by extreme or deviant values. So this is a point of comparison ganina. So who can explain number 2 with reference to the explanation a while ago sa mean? Kaya ang mean kay separate, opposite siya, di ba? Ang mean ganina is affected kaayo ang mean for these kinds of values. Again, the other term for this is outliers. Karon, nganong dili man apektado ang median? Who can explain to us why? Naka-on ang microphone ni Christy or Donia. Would you like to say something, Christy? Dili ba apektado? For example, ibalik to na tong gisultian na to ganina nga example ha, Miss Batukan. For example, katong 100 ang imuhang score sa imuhang upat ka exam. Sa ikalima ni mga test kay na 0 ka. Kung average ato ang tan-awon ani, apektado yun imuhang overall mean, di ba? Pero kung tan-awon nato ang median, maapektado ba siya, Miss Batukan?
Dili po, sir.
Yes, nganong dili man?
Kay ang sa median po, as what you have said, gi-arrange man nato siya. So, dili man maka-affect ang deviant value sa order po sa atong mga values.
It's because makitaan ang mga deviant values kung imuha na siyang i-arrange.
Pwede siya sa
Naa siya sa pinaka-last or pinakauna or
pinakauna po.
pinakatumoy.
Pinaka-last.
Very good. So kung pinakatumoy siya, napa ba siya bearing sa median kung nasa sa pinakatumoy? Di ba wala? Kaya ang imuhang focus sa median is naalang sa pinakatunga. Thank you so much, Miss Batukan, for the elaboration. That is the meaning of number 2. Dili siya apektado. So katong case ganina nga, sige kag ka 100 sa imuhang upat ka exam, sa ikalimang exam, for example, kung 5 imong exam, na 0 na ka, so ang imuhang overall rating, kung median lang ang kuhaon sa teacher, 100 gihapon. Kaya kung i-arrange nimo, lowest to highest, 0, 100, 100, ang pinakatunga 100 gihapon. So, wala, di ka mag-worry. Pero kung mean ang gigamit sa teacher in getting your overall score, then maapektuhan ang imuhang value. So that is the meaning of being affected by the extreme or deviant values. Number 3, this is in continuation of property number 2. So kung imuhang data set is dili nimo gusto nga maapektuhan og mga extreme values, then the appropriate measurement to be used is median. So katong example ato nga naa kay score for example tapos naa kay gagmay nga score nga pwede makaapekto. So if you have the control para dili maapektuhan ang overall score, then imuhang i-choose nga measurement will be median. That's for number 3. Number 4, median is used when the data are ordinal. So we have already discussed this scale of measurement. Ordinal means i-arrange. So kung naka-arrange daw ang data, then it can be possible nga makomputan ang median. And for number 5, it exists in both quanti and quali data. Kaya bisag quali data man siya, pwede man siya i-change as ordinal. Para atong dimension ganina, di ba, nga katong very good, good, not so good, i-represent mo siya as numbers. So, pwede gapon siya ma-arrange. Katong very good ang pinakataas, katong very bad ang pinakababa. So, in the middle, makita nimo aha dito, nag-lie ang middlemost value. So, kung pwede siya ma-arrange, whether it is quantity, it is a number, or it's a description, naa siya'y median, nag-exist ang median. As compared ganina sa mean, dili siya pwede kung quali, di ba? Pang quanti ra jud ang mean. So we can now see the difference between the two. So let's try to see. It's your turn again to compute. We have three exercises. So the first one who can give the correct answer will have additional points. Median for number 1. We have 10 bakeries. The number of employees are given. Bidaw be kung makakuha ba ta. I think number 1 lang siguro ang atong ansiran. The other exercises will be given as your assignment and this can also be found sa Quiper. Kaya para dili ta mahutdan og time. Who can answer the first one? What is the median? The first step is to arrange the data set.
13.5. Ayun.
Okay, who answered 13.5?
Ardania.
Ordonia,
Ordonia.
13.5. Okay, what is the arrangement? Can you tell me the correct order, whether it is in ascending or descending order? What's the lowest? We have wala pa na-arrange kay basig gidiretso lang nimong tan-aw ang tunga ba, and you have to be conscious of the arrangement kay dili ma-follow ang katong 50% of the values lie above, 50% lie below. Dito siya ma-follow kung wala na-arrange.
15.5.
Okay, so you have changed your answer into 15.5. Can you tell me the arrangement?
13.
Kung saan pinakauna? I think 12 ang pinakauna.
O, tama.
Okay. Anyway, ang 12 is, ano man siya, mahulog na siyang outlier, kaya naman siya sa pinaka-end. Followed by pila ka buok 13. And then, na ay 14, di ba? Then na ay 15.
14.5.
Okay, nag-change na po siya answer. And then we have 18. And we have 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So kung 10 ka book imong data set, di ba duha ka buok ang imuhang tunga?
Yes, sir.
Unsa tong duha nga tunga?
14 and 15.
Very good. So the average of 14 and 15 is 14.5. That is your answer, Miss Ordonia. Congratulations. Get the correct answer. That is also supported by your classmates sa chat box. So again, the rest will be given as your reading sa Quiper. The last measurement of central tendency is the mode. So review muna tayo ha. So tanaw na to kung remember pa ba mo unsa ang mode. The definition is given here. Yes, kinsa to would like to speak, Miss
Ang mode, sir,
Ordonia.
is kanang pag same ang number, imuhang i-multiply by 2.
Okay, so that is a prior knowledge from Miss Ordonia. There is a multiplication nga mahitabo. So would like to check kung tama ba na siya. So I have here, I would like to read the definition of the mode. The mode is the value which occurs most oftenly in the set of measures or values. So actually walay multiplication nga mahitabo dire. Kahit imuha lang man tan-awon, dito ang most frequent or nagbalik-balik. So kung kisa itong nagbalik-balik, mo to siya ang popular nga value, then mo to siya ang ihatag nga mode. So, di ba, ang mention kanina, when you talk about central tendency, you are trying to get one particular value that will represent a lot of values. So, kung mode ang imong ginagamit, dali ra kayo ni siya. Di na ka kailangan mag-arrange, unlike dito sa median, di na kailangan magamit og calculator, di na ka kailangan mag-divide, unlike sa mean. So, kani siya ang pinakadali nga measurement, kay imuha lamang tan-awon. Ang nagbalik-balik, mo to siya ang mode. So let's try to answer this. Find the mode for number 1. The ages of 5 students are 17, 18, 23, 20, and 19. Na by mode, dire?
Wala, sir.
Wala. So it is possible nga walay answer kung walay nagbalik-balik. So pwede mo siya tanaw na wala man tayo makuha diri nga answer. So we can try another measurement. So kaning mode actually murag mo na din siya ang last resort nimo kung wala kay laing makita nga measurement of central tendency. Number 2, what is now the mode for the descriptive evaluations of the teacher? Of 5 teachers, we have VS or very satisfactory, very
Yes.
satisfactory. Katulo nagbalik ang VS, so the answer is VS. Number 3, the grades of 5 students. 4.0, 3.5, 4.0, 3.5, 1.0.
Sir, bimodal. 4.0.
Very good. It can happen, Miss Namok, that's correct. Pwede nga nag-tie silang duha. Kaduha nagbalik ang 4.0, 3.5. So that is what we call as bimodal. Correct. How about the last one? 117, 218, 233, 120, 117. So 170 is very easy. So as you can see, among the three, ang pinakasayon jud is mode. And here are the properties of the mode. It is used when you want to find the value which occurs most often. So kung kapuyon siguro ka, tapos gusto lang nimo tan-awon sa man jud ang kanang typical value ani. Okay, kani siya kana balik-balik. Inana lang siya. That is why it is also known as sa number 3, an inspection average. Kay mata lang man imong gigamit. Number 2, it is a quick approximation of the average. You are not using calculator. You are just approximating. So that is mode. Number 4, it is the most unreliable. Diba? Murag kabaliktaran siya sa mean. The mean is the most reliable. Pero the mode is the most unreliable among the three because again, it is not defined in some observations. Wala actually magitanaw tanan sila. Bawat value sa imong dataset, wala siya naka-apekto sa imong overall answer. Kaya dito lamang ka nag-focus sa popular, sa nagbalik-balik. That is why it's not reliable and it's not actually seen in any research study nga gi-publish, especially academic writing. Walay mode nga gibutang dito. It's always the mean. Number 5 is though it exists in quantitative data, it is most applicable in qualitative data. Actually, ang history aning mode, kung magbasa dito mga libro is in the world of fashion. Dito usually makakita ka dito mga terms nga mode. Kung unsa ang trending, mga ana gani unsa ang balik-balik. So for example, unsay uso karon, unsay uso na ginagamit karon or ginasuot karon. So diha ning gawas ang mode. So katong mga nagbalik-balik, mo to siya ang mode. Di ba na yung mga pang-ekomoda katong mga ato, usually sa mga fashion na siya nga industry. So diri nagamit ang mode. Kung unsa to nagbalik-balik, mo to lahang gamiton pod, mo to ang mag-represent. So that is those are the properties and the weaknesses also of the mode. So we have here another example, another set of activities, pero I will just give you kaning number 3. While the others, pwede nyo mabasa na lang siya sa Quipper para di mahurot long time. So we have the following scores of 9 students in a mathematics quiz. Kung ang teacher tanaw niya, what is the overall performance of my students? Using mode lang, tanaw sa
12.
teacher. 12. Kapila nag-appear ang 12?
Sir.
Twice. How about 15?
12 and 15, sir. Bimodal
15
gyapon.
also very good. 15 also
12 and
appeared
15.
twice. So we have two answers, 12 and 15. So I hope that's clear with you. Actually, we'll have a quiz about that. Pero dili na nako ihatag karon. We are just done with the ungrouped data. Again, ang pasabot sa ungrouped data, ang data values ginahatag siya one by one. We also have what we call as the group data. So unsa ang dagway kung group data? Kung nang naaga ni mga inaani, wala gihatag one by one ang data set. So that is group data. For example, kaning height and number of students in centimeters na ada 159 to 162 cm nga estudyante, isa lang kabuok. Wa ka kabalo kung unsa ang height nga naa dito within the range. And then ay upat ka buok estudyante nga ang height nila is from 163 to 166. So wala po kakabalo katong upat pareha bag sila height or naabay isa 163, naabay 164. So that is the limitation kung group data ang gigamit. We will not compute for the group data because there are available softwares right now nga pwede gamito nato. Just like ang Excel, di ba? It can help you compute for the mean, median, and even the mode of the data kung ibutang lang nimo siya sa Excel file. And we have a lot of mga packages and software right now ginagamit, just like the SPSS, to compute for this. So for the sake lang of being able to discuss this one, that is why gi-appeal nato siya sa presentation karon. So for the group data for the mean, this is the formula. You're going to get the summation of F, the frequency, and the class mark divided by N. So para makita nato, anyway, di man mo pa-compute ani, pakita lang nako sa inyo ha. So if this is the class interval and that's the usually two columns naman ang ginahatag ana. The class interval and the frequency, just like in the previous example kaning uban gidungagan lang pero kaning duha ka columns basically ang ginahatag. So mo to siya ang imuhang gamiton. Ang frequency mo to siya ang pila ka buok nag-occur per class interval. The class mark can be obtained by getting the average of your class interval. Say for example 90 to 98, so you will have 90 plus 98 divided by 2. That's why you have 94 and so on. So F times X sub M anto, di ba? So i-multiply nimo ang bawat frequency sa iyahang class mark. So we have 6 times 94, 564, 22 times 103, and so on and so forth. I-add to nimo tanan, that's 11,254 divided by the number of observation. The number of observation can be obtained by adding the number of frequencies. So in this particular distribution, 100 students man, di ba? Gisulti diri sa 100 pud ang total sa frequency. So divided by 100, so you can get the mean. The mean is 112.54 for that particular example. 90 is the lowest, 134 is the highest. The general number that can represent them is 112.54. That is how to compute for the group data. Then for the median, we also have the formula. Inaniga po ng formula. So you need to compute. For example, wala kay other software, then imano-mano na nimo siya. So those are the steps. Makita gyapon ninyo if you would like to read sa inyong Kuiper nga platform. And for the mode, naapod siya iyahang sarili nga computations. Pero dili ta mag-compute ani for our quiz and our examination. Gipakita lang nila ako sa inyo ha to tell you that there are two kinds of data, the group and the ungroup data. So generally, ang ato ang i-focus is katulang mag-compute for the ungroup data. So that ends our discussion about the measures of central tendency. Do you have questions?
None so far, sir.
None so far. So for the remaining time, we still have few minutes. So a glimpse because our next discussion will be on Friday. The measures of variability will be discussed. Pero tagaan tamudaan og glimpse kung unsa ni siyang variability kay para paspas kay this is the last part of our statistics nga section for our math in the modern world. Makita na ninyo. Okay, after this, after discussing this, we will have our examination. So variability is another measurement. Katong central tendency kay one measure lang man to siya, di ba? Ang variability, this is another measurement that talks about the dispersion or spread. Para nalang mo yung idea daan. And the very common measurement of that is the range. I know you are familiar with this. That's the difference between the highest and the lowest value. So, tagaan gapon nato na siya discussion even though we will not be digging deeper into a lot of calculations about this one. That will be for our next meeting. So, the last part of your examination will be this one, the measures of variability. So, again, to refresh your knowledge about our topic, we just discussed central tendency, as well as the variability, which will be continued in our next meeting. Our